And Ben Ferguson is laughing, but he's the type of person that's created this debt crisis.
You guys never cared about it when you were in charge. You had the House, Senate, and the White House. You guys exploded the national
Donald Trump is responsible.
Please run on
Donald
that.
Trump as an individual. Donald Trump as an individual is responsible for 27% of the U.S. debt.
In this video, progressive host Adam Mockler appeared as a guest on Chris Cuomo's show for a short debate with Ben Ferguson, who is often seen as one of the more vocal and dramatic far-right MAGA commentators that show up on programs like Chris Cuomo's. And that's saying something, because many of them tend to be just as loud and emotional. In this segment, we're going to watch clips from the debate between Ben Ferguson and Adam Mockler on Chris Cuomo's show, and I also share my own thoughts. So, let's watch into it together.
So, let me start with you. When you look at the state of play back here at home going into the midterms, Ben, my theory is simple. It's about the economy, and the MAGA mandate is up for grabs, meaning who's going to fix America first. How worried are you about that?
I'm not worried about it at this point, and I'll tell you why. I think we're going to get out of what's happening in Iran pretty quick. I think there's this obsession with war should take 2 days. What we've been able to accomplish in this short amount of time is truly incredible with the military power we've used. And then the president understands more than anybody, he's not going to get anything done if he doesn't get back to the economy, lower gas prices quickly, and go back to what got him elected. He knows that. Democrats have already said, by the way, Conway, who's running for office in New York, said, elect me, and we're going to not only impeach Donald Trump if we win, we're going to impeach the vice president as well. They've already said what they're going to do. So the president knows what's at play here. I think we're going to get back to what matters here in this country. By the way, you can do two things at the same time. I think you look at the stock market. We got 87% of the gains back that we had in the loss in the first day of this war. So that's already coming back. Gas prices are already going to drop because we see the price of oil coming down. And the secure border is number one with the American people. National security is number two in the polls. We knew that going into this. And I think the president's going to pay off on it.
All right. Adam, thank you for keeping your face basically straight during that entire thing. I give you the rest of the time of the segment. What is your case about the opportunity for Democrats? And I'll give you a hint. I think you've got a major opportunity that was just served up to you.
Yeah. First of all, it's weird to just say that the stock market is up so much when Donald Trump is the one who crashed it down to new lows because of the way that he handled this war. But also, the question that you asked was great because a lot of Democrats will relentlessly rail against Trump without proposing our own affirmative vision. So I think Democrats need to run on the most vicious anti-corruption campaign we've ever seen. I think we should run on closing the tax loopholes that billionaires take advantage of. That would get us an extra $1 trillion per year that we could use to lower the deficit. I mean, right now, something that I'm worried about is the growing debt. We pay $1 trillion per year just on the interest of our debt. And Ben Ferguson is laughing, but he's the type of person that's created this debt crisis.
You guys never cared about it when you were in charge. You had the House, Senate, and the White House. You guys exploded the national
debt. Donald Trump is responsible.
Please run on
Donald Trump as an individual is responsible for 27% of the U.S. debt. No other president is even close to that.
So Joe Biden's responsible for how much? Barack Obama is responsible for how much? Please run on this.
That's way different than 27%. That's way different than 27%. Trump will be worth
So you don't know the number. Wait, you don't know the numbers? You only know the number that you hate Trump over.
It's 10 to 15%.
That's what you guys are running off.
Well, hold on. Ben, we all know that Trump has been one of the top spenders in history, and a big reason for it is the same reason for Biden. It was the pandemic. And you can argue that through. Let's do this. Do me a favor. If you guys can make time tomorrow, come back. Let's keep talking affordability because I really want to move the show in that direction. We got to get back home physically and politically. Adam, thank you. Ben, thank you. And again.
So if they come back tomorrow, I want to cover that as well. But my first observation, and this is not an original thought, is that Ben Ferguson comes across very aggressively in this exchange. And that is my first impression. While he was speaking at the beginning, Adam Mockler patiently waited for his turn, and as soon as Adam Mockler got his chance, Ben Ferguson kept talking over him and seemed to miss the point about the 10% figure Adam Mockler mentioned regarding how much of the debt came under Obama and Joe Biden because he was too focused on speaking rather than listening. I do agree with Adam Mockler that the Democrats are going to need to offer real policies to voters. They cannot rely only on saying Donald Trump is a fascist or corrupt, even if some of that criticism is valid. They also need to build a stronger positive message, and as Adam Mockler suggests, anti-corruption should be a major part of that strategy. And if they win the midterms, they should focus heavily on investigations and hearings into corruption over the next 2 years. In a more ideal world, which we know is not reality, figures like Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio would be facing serious legal consequences for war-related actions, but that is not something that is likely to happen even if Democrats regain power in Congress. However, they could still hold constant oversight hearings into corruption and abuse of power, because a lot of what happened in the Trump administration, involving Trump, his family, allies, and cabinet members, will likely continue to be investigated for years, and more issues may still come to light. At the same time, Adam Mockler is also right that Democrats cannot stay in a cycle where they only say the other side is worse, because that becomes politically weak over time. Going back to 2015 and 2016, that message alone has not been enough, and voters eventually expect more than just fear-based arguments. So they need to present clear policies like expanding Medicare, expanding Medicaid, strengthening Social Security, making college more affordable, and supporting child care, especially when Donald Trump has made it clear that federal focus is mainly on military and defense spending rather than social programs. And that message will likely stick with voters for a long time, because people do not forget policies that directly affect their daily lives. And while supporters of Trump may argue different points about past administrations, Adam Mockler highlighted that the national debt has continued to grow significantly, and this will remain a major political issue. And in the middle of all this, Ben Ferguson continues to defend his position by pointing back at previous administrations. But the broader debate here is really between confrontation and accountability versus policy-driven solutions, and it raises the question of whether voters are more influenced by criticism of the other side or by actual plans for improving everyday life. So I want to know what you think about this entire exchange between Adam Mockler and Ben Ferguson on Chris Cuomo. And so I want to know where you stand on this entire discussion. Let me know what you think about in the comment. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.